It's Mag Talk, the True Faith podcast, weekly Newcastle United YouTube video. Normally Ben and Si are sat where I'm sat, and I'm on the other side of the camera. So Ben, it's a pleasure to join you and find myself in front of the camera for the first time. I'm very nervous, so please be gentle.
The pleasure's all mine, Dodgy.
I'm sure it is. We've got 3 things to talk about this week in this 10-minute YouTube video. First of all, if you like this stuff, then please subscribe or click the notification button to get these videos more regularly. We've got absolutely loads going on this week on Mag Talk. Ben, let's start off with the big news that is on everyone's lips, and that is True Faith is back in print. How excited are you?
I haven't slept for about 3 days, mate. I've got my orders in. I can't wait for the official unveiling. It's just great to be able to read it in paperback once again.
It's True Faith Newcastle United's now only print fanzine, edited by myself, Mick Martin, the original editor, still on board. Get it around the city. The back page is probably the best place, but it's also going to be stocked in Centrail, at Central Station, Stay Free Records, and if you want to take a digital subscription because you don't live in the UK, you can do it. It's only £10 for the year for 10 issues. It's £1 an issue. And we'll stop talking about it in a second because we'll have to move on. But
what a bargain, though.
What a bargain. And if you want it delivered to your door, £25 for 10 issues plus postage and packaging. Not bad, I think. But anyway, Ben, True Faith back on sale. Give it a read. I was going to say a listen. I need to change from the podcast format back into writing and that. Right, Ben, Newcastle United face Leicester City this weekend in kind of big game. I think we've said, before the last 3 or 4 games, I've got to win this one. But it does very much feel like we've got to win this one. Your thoughts on that, mate?
We've got to win one of them. It's getting more and more imperative that we'll get this season started. Obviously, we've sort of written off the first 6 games for various reasons. Obviously, a really tough run, but just to get the season going and get some momentum building and to give us something to get excited about, because it's been a pretty disappointing start of the season so far. It's a massive game, and it's an opportunity. I think it's Leicester are a team that have they've had some good and bad form, so I'm hopeful that we can get 3 points at home.
Yeah, well, the True Faith podcast match preview that we do, which is available on Patreon. It costs £1.25 a week for about 5 extra Newcastle United podcasts, and it keeps stuff like this and the free podcast that I'm sure you all listen to free of charge. Simon and Adam did that, and Adam had some great stats. So Leicester have lost 7 of their last 10 Premier League away games. So they're a decent side, and they've got much better players than us. Who doesn't? Unfortunately, these days. But I reckon this is a side really to be aiming for 3 points for. The performances have been decent. We've only scored 4 goals in 6 games, but we've had some very tough fixtures. We've also got, I think, the 8th best defensive record in the Premier League, considering we've played 4 of the top 6. It ain't bad. Personally, the big news for this one, Ben, is Rondon is not fit. Your thoughts on that, and who you would like to see replacing the big man?
Who I'd like to see, or who do I think?
Both.
Because who I'd like to see is far from who will be starting, unfortunately. I think, it's getting a bit frustrating, really, that he seems to be unavailable far too often, and I think, especially when you think we've let a striker go we've let 2 go and replaced them with one who doesn't seem to be able to play 90 minutes at the minute and consecutively is really disappointing. So it's kind of a bit like the Slimani situation last season. We obviously brought him in January, and he only got 3 games at him, but we were always waiting, when Slimani comes back fit, it's going to be great. Well, we're still waiting for the same sort of thing with Rondon. I mean, the best action we've seen from him was a 10-minute cameo against Nottingham Forest in a cup game that we got knocked out of. It's a bit disappointing, really. So it's frustrating. I mean, obviously I'm sure he's not meaning to get injured, but it's typical of this regime that we're left with one fit striker, really, and then a couple of number 10s. So obviously it's going to be Hostel who's going to be starting on Saturday. Hasn't had a bad record at home, to be fair. He's scored a couple of goals recently, but it's just the fact that we shouldn't be sat here sort of talking about Rondon being the starting number 9 for Newcastle United.
Yeah, I thought Rondon was really good at Man City as well, so we'll give him that. But yeah, Hosselu, actually, when he came on last Saturday at half-time at Palace, a game that me and you were both at, did really, really well. In fact, some of his movement in the box, he managed to get away from defenders really easily. Didn't connect with the ball, but we can't have everything. As Newcastle United at the end of the day.
The overhead kick chance was nice bit of skill actually, and shame with the execution, but it gave us a little bit of excitement and pretty dull football.
I mean, it's almost like, and I obviously didn't mean to do this, and it was a good bit of skill, but it's almost like he tried to find like Wayne Hennessy as cleanly and as easily as possible. That though for Wayne, considering what that game was like, that was hard work. That actually made that move for the ball there. I would like to see Muto play up front, because in the away game, Ben, Dwight Gale caused Maguire in particular all sorts of problems. Perez did as well, and I think to players like Maguire and Morgan, if it is those two that start, Hoslu's going to be a piece of cake, I'd say, for those two.
I was going to say the proverbial meat and drink for him, isn't he? It's just playing into their hands there. What their strengths are the high ball. So yeah, I completely agree with that. It would be great to have other options, but you're right. We're probably, and it's a bit sad that we're coming to a point where we're saying we want to see a number 9, well, a number 10 really, that hasn't even had a start yet, is sort of leading our attack. So yeah, I think it would be a good shout though. It'd be nice to see him have a game from the start and get an opportunity to link up with Perez. As you say, it's not we haven't seen the pair of them on the pitch too much together, so it'd be interesting to see if he does go that way, how that would play out.
Yeah, definitely. And your prediction for this one and why?
I'm hoping we'll nick a 2-1. I think it'll be difficult. I think they've got some players that can hurt us, but equally I feel like we've played well in the tough games, and I think a performance like we did against Spurs or for the last sort of 20 minutes of the Chelsea game should be too good for this Leicester team. So I think we have to be realistic in terms of what we're looking at, but at the same time, we haven't played that badly in the tough games that we've had. So if we can show that fight, and obviously hopefully the players are feeling a bit more desperate, and they've got a point to prove, obviously with only 2 points on the board. So hopefully with a bit of fight, they'll be able to pull out one of those performances that we got used to towards the end of last season.
Well said. I'm going to go for 7-1 Newcastle, because why the hell not? and a repeat of that famous day in 1993. Ben, Kevin Keegan returns to the Northeast on Tuesday at the Sage. Sold out show. I'm hoping to get a ticket, even though it's sold out. We'll be reporting on that on the podcast for patrons on the night. It's going to be great. Obviously, we've done the podcast with Daniel Taylor, who's written the book with King Kev. Have a listen to that. There'll be a link in the description to this video. And Ben, anything else on KK that's on your mind?
Just it was great it's great to see him back in the limelight. Really, I think obviously he's a man that's shied away from the media sort of in the last couple of years, since basically got pied off by ESPN. But yeah, he's just a great bloke, and obviously he's coming out having a pop at Ashley and the regime, which is always great. And it's just every time you hear him, it just brings back fond memories, doesn't it? It's just a nice little nostalgic trip down memory lane. So always nice to hear from him.
What
are you getting at?
And someone's just crowd.
Oh.
Great. I am interested though. It's not like I'm not interested in what you think about KK, but it's fine.
But I just wish somebody would like put a flag out there or something. Do you know anything about that?
A little bit. So the good people of Newcastle United support have crowdfunded a massive flag for Kevin Keegan to be in the ground. We've worked with True Faith, have worked with Lee's Flags, who are trying to match the excellent work that War Flags are doing at the other end of the ground. So it took us less than 3 hours to raise the £600 that it needed to get this 8x6 massive KK flag, which should be there hopefully for the Burnley game. And it just shows you the love and passion people have for this man, and that the man who built the modern Newcastle United. And it's a tragedy that he's not allowed or doesn't feel welcome at Newcastle United. And it has to change. And if Mike Ashley plans to start coming back to matches, I would much rather he had to see a massive image of one of the greatest people ever to represent this football club on and off the pitch. at the start of every game, and also us as fans can show our appreciation. So thanks for everybody who retweeted, who commented, and who ultimately put the money in to get this flag made in less than 3 hours. We had to stop the GoFundMe because people were still willing to put money in, which is amazing. It tells you everything you need to know about what people think about Kevin Keegan in this city, in this region, and who support this football club. Ben, we've done 11 minutes already. Fancy that.
It's flown over. It's been fantastic. I think we'll ditch side, me and you'll do it from now on. But yeah, this has been Mag Talk. Thanks so much for watching. If this at YouTube, you think, tell your mates. Comment below if you want us to answer any questions next week, or get in touch at TF Weekly Pod on Twitter. Me and Ben and maybe Sai will be here next week. Thanks for listening, watching. Cheers.